Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Unchauskas. Today's the 15th of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a view of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX, so the German index. So yesterday it managed to still close below the that kind of psychological, or we can even call it a psychological 12,500 level. So this key barrier is the one to watch. So looking at the cash index right now, it is trying to push above it. Let's see if the buyers are successful today. For now, everything's leaning more towards the upside, and if we do see that move, then of course our next potential target could be around the 12,600 zone, marked by the high of the 25th of July, and slightly above that we do have the 12,656-55 territory as well, which also could get tested, and that's the high of the 4th of July. So keep your eyes on these two levels. It could be an interesting moment here, given that the last week we saw this nice strong acceleration to the upside. So in a way, there is a good chance we could see a continuation move higher this week. So but as I said, we needed to see first. We needed to see that push above that psychological 12,500 zone, and for now it seems that everything's kind of leaning towards that. So keep your eyes on this one. If let's say this suddenly reverses sharply to the downside, how you could play this one out is keep an eye on this little low, this little low of yesterday near the 12,388. So if this starts if the price starts dropping below this, we will consider a possible move and a possible test towards the 12,312 territory around here. But if that fails, then yep, it could drift all the way here towards the 12,142 area. So again, guys, for now, everything's leaning more towards the upside. Let's see how this is going to play out. But again, like I said, for now, we're more positive than negative on this one. But we will only target these two higher levels for now. And after that, we'll see how it's going to perform around them. If it struggles to overcome them, then we could see maybe a correction again to the downside. So keep your eyes on this one. Gold. Gold is so it still continues to trade within this nice falling channel formation. Yesterday I talked about gold, and basically what I was saying that if it remains below this this psychological kind of 1500 level, and let's say even if it overshoots it a little bit, still if it remains below the upper bound of this falling channel formation, then yep, we will continue targeting the downside. So as you can see, yesterday the commodity managed to move a little bit higher, found good resistance near its EMAs here, and to be more specific, near the 50 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and then reversed back to the downside. Now, again, this of course doesn't really paint a very positive picture, but the small little positive aspect here for now is the fact that it continues to balance above its today's pivot, which is around the 1491 zone. So in a way, this level here, we can actually shift this a little bit. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to remove this level, because what we're going to focus on today is going to be today's pivot. So, and that's like I said, approximately around the 1491 zone. So if we see a drop below this, then this increases the chances for a further slide here towards the S1, which is around the 1485 zone, and the next potential target could be around the S2, which is around the 1476. And this is the level to watch, the 1475 zone. That's the this low of Friday, from which the commodity, the precious metal, rebounded back to the upside. So in a way, for now, how you could play this one out is, like I said, keep an eye on the 1491. If we see a drop below this, then this increases the chances for a further move back down here towards the 1475 zone. But if that fails to withhold, this is when we will target the 59, or even the lower side of the falling channel. In terms of the upside, if it travels above the 1500 level, still the upside could be limited due to this downside resistance line, the one, or should I say, the upper bound of the falling channel, the one that I've mentioned. For us to get comfortable with higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above the 1520 zone, and only then aim for higher levels, because this way the precious metal would confirm a forthcoming higher high, because it would be above this high of the 3rd of October, and we could see this one drifting further north. So for now, that's the game plan. Let's see how this is going to play out, and of course, guys, have your stop loss in place. Brent Oil. I've talked about this one yesterday in my traders tea time, and basically what I was saying, that we needed to see a nice good push above the 60.66 before we could examine higher levels, because this way the price would be above its 200 EMA as well. So that's why, guys, for now, keep your eyes on this little tentative upside line. You can see that the commodity is testing it again. So in a way, we cannot really say that it's a tentative line now. So we are having a nice third test, and actually a fourth test here. So we'll keep an eye on this one. If it has a nice rebound and pushes higher, yep, that's wonderful. But again, I'll repeat myself, for us to get comfortable with higher levels, we need to see a pop above this one right here, above the 60.66 zone, and only then aim for higher levels. In terms of the downside, even if it, let's say, drops below this upside line, still just for that extra confirmation of the downside, a drop below the 57.77 could in a way do the trick here for more sellers, and we could see the commodity sliding further down here, initially aiming for the low of the 3rd of October around the 56.13 zone. So, or in other words, that's the lowest point of October. So for now, keep your eyes on these two levels. Keep your eyes on this upside support line, of course. It's at a very interesting spot. If it starts breaking, don't rush into this yet, guys, because, like I said, we could see a false breakout as well. We had these before, so not something new. So that's why we will wait for a drop only below the 57.77 before we could examine further declines. NZDUSD. I talked about this one yesterday, and I talked about this one, and let me just double check myself. I mean, that was I mentioned this one in my Espresso and in my traders tea time yesterday. So basically, fantastic activity here, I would say, from the technical perspective. For now, you can see that, or let me recap. Basically, on Monday, yesterday, in the morning, we were still hanging around here. I was talking about a potential kind of move higher if we get a break above the 0.6350 zone. We never got that break, and the pair slid lower. And this is what I was saying, that if it starts sliding below the 0.6310, we could in a way see a test of this 0.62 80 territory. So on during my trader's tea time, the pair was balancing around here, and this is what I was saying. If it holds, we could see this one reversing back to the upside and confirming somewhat of a range here, somewhat of a nice range between roughly between the 0.6280 on the downside and the 0.6350 on the upside. But if this would have broken this one, this lower side of the range, then yep, we could get comfortable with examining lower levels. So we never got the break, so it's now confirming a nice range. So for now, basically, we're going to continue monitoring this one. We're going to remain neutral. We're going to continue observing the price action inside this range, and we will wait for a clear move out of it before we could, let's say, target any further directional moves. So in a way, for now, what you could do is just keep an eye on the 0.6280 zone on the downside and the 0.6350 territory on the upside. So let's wait for that break, guys. AUDCAD. So AUDCAD is quite an interesting pair. So after it managed to break this little tentative, kind of short-term tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of the 13th of September, the pair moved higher, yes, and managed to reach an area around the 0.9026 zone, something like that. It did try to overshoot it, but on Friday, but kind of failed to stay above it. So now kind of drifted back down and dropped below the 0.8975 zone. So we're going to keep an eye on this level. I do understand this may be a bit of a tentative level, but nevertheless, if we get a nice push above it, then this could increase the chances for a further move higher here up until the 0.9026. Now, I do understand we do have the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, but as you can see, as recent history shows, that it kind of doesn't really like the 200 EMA. It kind of really ignores it, and it likes to overshoot it, and then let's say if it was trading below it, then it likes to overshoot it and then come back again below it. So that's why, guys, if we see a push above the 0.8975, we will aim for higher levels. We will probably temporarily ignore this 200 EMA because this could lead the pair a little bit higher, and we could target this area here around the 0.9026-25 zone, something like that. But if that fails to withhold, then we could see maybe a further push higher a little bit, initially aiming for the 0.9046 zone. Like I said, for now, it seems that the pair could, in a way, push a little bit higher. It's currently trading above its pivot, so that's a good sign for today. But again, as I said before, we could maybe aim for slightly higher levels. We need to see a push above this area right here near the 0.8975, and only then aim for higher levels. In terms of the downside here, a drop below the 0.8922 area, approximately around there, could in a way open the path back down towards the 0.887677 territory here, which kind of marks the intraday swing high of the 2nd of October. So keep your eyes on this one. Could be a nice level as well, but again, we will only act on a break of one of these levels here. So either a push above the 0.8975, we will aim for slightly higher levels. Then of course we'll have our stop loss in place just in case this suddenly, let's say, reverses back to the downside. And in terms of the downside here, a drop below the 0.8923-22 zone could make us a little bit more comfortable with examining slightly lower areas. GBPJPY. GBPJPY, so after it reached the 137.90 zone on Friday, it retraced to the downside. It found some support near this level here, and I talked about this previously, basically, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this area right here, the high near the highs of September. So the highs of September acted yesterday as a nice area of support. So from which as you can see, the pair rebounded and pushed higher. It's currently hanging around its pivot, and also what it's forming right now. And probably that would be visible maybe on the 1-hour chart. Let me just quickly double check that. No. no, I got it wrong a little bit, because what it was looking like, it could have been maybe a small bullish flag here, but again, that's not really clear, so that's why we're going to exclude this idea, and just mainly focus on some of the key support and resistance levels. So from the very short-term perspective, probably for today, how you could look at this as well is keep an eye on the high of yesterday near the 137.03, something like that zone here. If we get a nice push above this, then this in a way could increase the chances for GBPJPY to move towards the highs of Friday near the 137.90 zone. If that fails to withhold, of course, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target slightly higher levels. But for now, probably again, for now, keep your eyes on this. Keep your eyes on the yesterday's high near the 137.03. If we get a push above this, then yes, we will aim for higher levels. We will aim for this 137.90 and then maybe slightly above it. Maybe it could test today's pivot, which is one of the pivot points here, the R2, which is around the 138.40 zone, so roughly around there. So that could be a nice target for today, especially if it breaks above the 137 zone and then the 137.90 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the downside, well, you could keep an eye, of course, again on this high, the September high, or the yesterday's low near the 135.65 zone. A drop below this could in a way send the pair back down towards levels, towards the last Thursday levels, and then yep, we could consider areas like the 133.82, something like that here, or even we could see a move towards the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart here, guys. But again, for now, these are the areas to watch. If we will, like I said, we'll be more conservative on the downside, and we'll wait for a drop below the 135.65 zone. And the last pair for this session is going to be the boring euro dollar. And it's not really happening much here, but I'm going to continue covering it because maybe we'll eventually get this nice move, because last week we saw the pair kind of moving sideways a little bit here, struggling to overcome that 110 zone, and eventually finally on Thursday the pair blew up to the upside, managed to break above the downside line above the 200 EMA, and then kind of on Friday continued to travel higher and reach the area around the 1.1063 zone. So yesterday I talked about this as well, and what I was saying that we may see a bit of a correction here, and if it slides lower, and even if it slides below the 200 EMA, still keep an eye on this upside line here, short-term tentative one, but still an upside line taken from the low of the 1st of October. In a way, if it holds again, we could see another round of buying. For those who are more on the cautious side, you could just wait for sit this one out and wait until we see a push above the 1.1063. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target the 1.1110 zone. So initially that's my target here around the 1.1110. If it travels higher, that's wonderful, good news for the buyers, but again, this is quite an interesting level to watch, and could be an area which could slow the acceleration here. So that's why for now we're gonna keep an eye on this one like this. If the pair starts dropping below the upside line and drops below the downside resistance line, then yep, we will aim for these lower areas, and especially this 1.094340 zone, so approximately around there, guys. So this could in a way play out as a nice area of support. Of course, if that gets broken, then let me just quickly adjust. If that gets broken, then yep, we will continue targeting the downside. So maybe even we could see this one drifting back towards the current lowest point of October near the 1.0878. But again, that's still, that could be a big path to do for euro dollar. We would need to see some breaks here below all of these lines, and of course below the 1.0940 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I do apologize for maybe the quality of the video, and it's not the best during the morning here for some reason. So, like I said, really apologize for that. If you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, as always, that's guys, that's 13:15 GMT. Thank you very much for logging in and tuning in and watching this video. It's a real, I really appreciate that. And like I said, guys, later on you can join me at my Traders Tea Time. That's 13:15 GMT. We'll have a look at some of these instruments again, see how some of them performed, and then of course we'll have a look at some of the new ones as well. So if you do have any specific pairs that you would like me to have a look at, you can always leave a comment after the video is uploaded, and I will be happy to pick up on that. So yes, guys, feel free, and I hope you have a fantastic trading day today, guys. I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.